Aloha, I am June Jones of the Houston Roughnecks, and this is the XFL Show.
More burger! For the love of football! For the love of football! For the love of
If you smell what the XFL is cooking. Welcome, football fans. This is For the Love of Football. This is the road to 2022, and this is the XFL Show. I'm Alan.
And I'm Bryant.
Tom Brady is in another Super Bowl, and we're sitting here speculating about what XFL announcements we'll get soon. It's not a rerun, though. It isn't deja vu, but it is Rumble season, baby. This is episode 155. Something's rumbling. Maybe it's a big XFL announcement, Brent. I don't know. All I know is it's very late this week when we're recording. We waited a long time just to get some news on Pep Hamilton. I think that's why we started so late this week.
We waited as long as possible to see what news the XFL would declare this week before leading in to what would be another great weekend in sports entertainment.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know.
Sports and entertainment. Sorry.
Yes, and all of it. But I don't know if that's why we waited. It was Pep or waiting for XFL news. But it's late, but we're still here grinding out a show with you. And we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about this week. I think stuff that's near and dear to my heart, stuff like Pep Hamilton, Dany Garcia's interviews, which I always love. And we've got a good quote to break down from that today. And we're going to talk website today too, Brian. So we're going to have some fun. 724-565-4XFL is the XFL Fan Line. That's for you to call it. Voicemail, text, interact with the show there, and we'll bring it onto the air. If you want to talk on there, you're more than welcome to. This week, it looks like we're going to get into a text we got there at XFL Show on social media. If you want to interact with us there, we put out some information. We'll put out fun polls and whatnot, questions. We had a good question this week we posted and got some memification, which I enjoyed, Bryant, so we'll get into that. But at XFL Show on all your social medias. And, of course, this week the show is sponsored, Bryant. And the good thing is they're not asking us to just sit here and read copy anymore. There's an actual paid advertisement to air right here.
They're making things even easier.
2021 is about your voice. Make your voice heard by starting your podcast today. We make it happen. Pretty easy. Podcasts makes podcasting pretty easy. Well, we didn't have to read it live. I mean, they still made me read it. But now I don't have to read it every single time. That's the whole point of it.
But yeah, now it's like Homer Simpson, right? You're just gonna hit the Y every time you're ready to go. Just dunk, dunk,
what do they call that? Plug and play or push button, whatever. It's very easy for me to get that ad to you. But also, if you want to do a podcast, that's the way to do it, right, Brian?
Yeah, that's definitely the way it's the way we did it. It's the way a lot of people that we know have done it. So go over there, check it out right now, prettyeasypodcast.com. They make podcasting pretty easy.
I think you put the in the wrong place.
I did.
There.
I did. They make this hard sometimes. Man.
You better watch out. I don't want to lose our sponsorship. Let's dink and dunk around XFL social media, though. We asked, or on social media, Brian actually put this one out. I just saw this before we went on the air. I didn't even notice this one.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a busy week for you.
It's a busy-ass week. Oh, brother, you don't even know. But you said, what's the coolest an XFL player or coach ever looked in a photo? And, I mean, that's like, I feel like are you getting paid by Winston Moss to just put him out there and get him pub? Which,
first of all,
because I mean,
if Winston Moss wanted me to do something for him, he wouldn't have to pay me. He would not. Man is a force. Yeah. You've met him. Yes. Just looks at me and says, "Do this." Yeah, and I would do it.
I know that. I mean, we did get another email that I wasn't going to read, but it did say, Alan, who's your favorite person in the XFL you met? I know Bryant will say Winston Moss or else he'll get beat up. So I don't need to ask him. But we don't need to get in. I want to talk about this one though. Coolest of players looked in a photo, and of course everyone tweets Moss sitting on the bench. Some people put Bernie Sanders next to him, which I enjoyed. But
that was me.
Oh, they did? I thought other people. Well, people retweeted your meme at you. I saw that.
Yeah.
Your bird. It's very popular, that Bernie Winston Moss meme.
Did it make its rounds?
It did, but I saw some people say Cole Boozer too, which I don't think we've talked about him enough. I know he's like beloved by many XFL faithful, number 69 of the DC Defenders.
Nice.
He
got some
a nice
love.
player.
He got some dap.
Yeah, he did.
I'll have to wait. I haven't opened up my box of Topps cards all the way, so I'll wait until I get to him.
Well, yeah, I don't need a Cole Boozer jersey. I know a lot of people have them. I've seen them on Reddit and on Twitter. I think if the Chiefs beat the Bucks in the Super Bowl, I'm going to ask my wife to get me a Jordan Ta'amu Chiefs jersey for my birthday to celebrate Tom Brady losing. That's what I'm going to do.
Anybody but Tom was a theme of last week, right? So I guess that continues on.
And that didn't
I mean, the
work
man
out,
has just as many NFC championships as Aaron Rodgers, as Drew Brees.
Come on, Jordan Ta'amu, you can do it. If anybody could beat Tom Brady, it's practice squad and Jordan Ta'amu helping Patrick Mahomes get ready.
Alan, did you take a peep at all the comments from last week's show on YouTube, by the way? It was great.
No, this was, like I said, busy week, so I left the social mediaing to you this week.
Well, that's unfortunate because somebody says, hey, Alan, this Roberto says, hey, Alan, go ahead and play your XFL game on Twitch. I'll watch it.
The Tecmo XFL. All right. Well, it definitely
How's
won't
that
be
going
this
for
week.
you?
So yeah, it might be next week. I put the whole week, this whole busy week. It's been rumbling through the week. But next week,
here's
I'll get
the one I
back
really
on the
wanted to bring
Tecmo,
up.
and maybe I'll throw it on Twitch next week.
Here's the one I really wanted to bring up to you, Alan. Here we go. This is by Alexander. Oh, you know where this is coming from when Alexander is spelled DRE and not DER at the end.
Alexandre.
Any chance the XFL, after a few successful years, expands to Canada? It's a pipe dream, but as a Canadian, I'm pretty upset that the NFL hasn't expanded up north. If the XFL did it, I think it would be a pretty smart move. Hopes and dreams.
You can hope and I'm not thinking that far ahead, Alexander. I'd love to see a team
it's a 5 or 7 year business plan.
Ideally in Regina in Saskatchewan to go along with the Rough Riders, although I don't know if they'd accept that there. It'd probably have to be Toronto. We'll see. I just want the CFL back first. Can we get that first and then think about XFL expansion up north? But I love it that you got Canadian fans who are digging the XFL because that doesn't have to be a rivalry. We have to set that straight more often. Like CFL fans can enjoy the XFL. XFL fans can enjoy the CFL, and I think everybody should because it's all football, baby. It's all football. Pick a CFL team and just go. That's what I did. Rough Riders, baby, all day. One day I'm going to get up to that Mosaic Stadium, Brian. You and I, we're going.
Yeah, a lot of fun on YouTube. We might have to come back to some of these. I don't think we have all the time in the world. I'm just noticing some of these.
It's not always the case. Not always the case on YouTube either. All right. Well, before we head into this week's cover too, Bryant, we've been looking back. I know you don't like to look back too much, but we do have to do these check-ins because we are on the road and we've been down a similar road before. So it might help us to flash back and check in where we were at this time on the road to XFL Kickoff 2020.
Always wanted to do that. Look at that.
What, drive a big rig?
Yeah. Have you ever sat in a big rig? Oh my God, you feel like you're on top of the world.
I think I have. Why do you get to drive the big rig?
Because I'm the one taking this on the road to 2022, or from back then.
All right, well, you're the driver. Where the hell were we this time last year or the year before?
2 years ago, right? That's what we're looking at. We're looking at 2019 versus 2021. That's the best way to think about the odd years. And we were still in the lull, but Alan, I asked you right before the show started, when was Radio Row? And you're saying that it's the week leading up to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And Oliver Luck was starting to make his presence known on Radio Row in 2019 for the XFL. So still kind of calm. We're still kind of where we are.
We're not getting a chief football officer on Radio Row. I don't think we're going to have a real Radio Row this year anyway, but there's no CFO announcement this week, so I don't anticipate that person making the rounds on all the different radio shows next week either, Brian.
I don't even know how that's going to work out. So I think we're starting to get behind the ball a little bit, not behind the 8 ball, on the side of the 8 ball.
We're not too far behind. Like I say, a lot of those blueprints are already on the ready, but the positions need to be filled. That CFO position seems pretty important. And like all of you, we're sitting on pins and needles waiting to hear. I did see someone on social media hit us up, Brian, at XFL Show. Hopefully we get this announcement Super Bowl week. I think that's the consensus. We want this announcement of who this person will be, at least either leading up to the Super Bowl or right after, because this is football time, baby. Spotlight season. Let's get a big announcement out there. Dany Garcia doing an interview on Forbes, the past week. So maybe that's a sign of things to come. Some of the marketing, some of the getting their face out there. We can only hope, though. But at this point, we had the guy, man, going around shaking the hands, getting people riled up, building that goodwill like
future Pac-12 commissioner Oliver Luck out there, getting his name out there, kind of the way Jerry Maguire did it, right before the draft with his
Rod Tidwell. Tidwell.
I think you're right. It's. I said it last week. I was getting a little nervous. It also might be just me wanting some information. I think, February is going to be the key. I think February we'll be able to tell whether or not the XFL is in a good state or in a. But then again, we don't even know when kickoff is. We know it's 2022. We don't know what day. We're assuming it's going to be the weekend after the Super Bowl. But yeah, we're still kind of in flux there as well.
But it doesn't hurt to look back and just compare and see where we're at. But who knows, in a month's time, looking back might not really be beneficial at all, because we're going to be in the thick of some big news, and we might know it's a whole different road. Maybe this road will not include so many announcements. Maybe it's going to be a lot of, hey, the XFL's coming, and just wait, and they're going to be play close to the vest, and I would not enjoy that, Brian. But just
hey guys, we're gonna kick off February 2022. See you then. Bye.
We'll see you then. We don't want you to know too much about it until then.
But
I hope not.
Rock, Danny, where do we go to watch the games? Well, you'll find out when we kick off.
I don't think that's happening, but this could be a rocky road. All I know is we got that big rig ready, so I'm confident we're gonna get there. That's all that matters.
We got to get you what was it? Was the Al van? I think is what we said, right?
What's the Al van?
You said you were going to make your way to every summer showcase in the Al van in 2019. I think we got to get that thing.
Alvin?
Al van.
Al van. Oh, okay. All right. Give me a van. I'll ride up and down the roads in a van.
Or the Airstream. Maybe we'll get you an Airstream.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's retirement plan. Let's get into it, though. It's this week's Cover 2.
And we went up. And we went over.
Up and over. Rumbling through this episode 155, Bryant. And Pep Hamilton is finally at his next gig after the Chargers stint as quarterback coach, getting Justin Herbert the Rookie of the Year, breaking records, coaching him up. But, of course, the Anthony Lynn regime is no more there. So Pep Hamilton goes on to interview for some coordinator jobs, doesn't get those jobs. And it looks like he is going to be signing, as of this live on tape recording, hasn't yet officially, but it's being reported through Sports Illustrated and other places in Houston, at least, that he's going to go to the Texans as the quarterback coach. And this is announced the day Deshaun Watson asks for a trade. So who the hell will Pep Hamilton be coaching at quarterback? We don't know, but he'll be in Houston.
That's a interesting landing spot for him, with given the current situation happening there. Looks like they're going to have to start over at that quarterback position. Alan, I mentioned to you before the show. Do you think Pep's going to make his name by just coaching up rookies every year?
I mean, maybe, yeah, he'll build that reputation. I'm kind of shocked he didn't land the Titans or the Dolphins or the Steelers gigs, because he already has a rep in the NFL. Now he's got head coaching experience. He just coached the Rookie of the Year. Like, this, really odd. But he goes to the Texans, and we'll see who they have at quarterback and who he coaches. And I mean, maybe he'll have some guy out of note. Maybe Mac Jones will end up going.
Maybe this is a perfect situation for him, for XFL fans, because he shows up. There's no quarterback to coach. He's like, I'm going to go find somewhere else to coach. Oh, look, the DC Defenders are looking for a coach. I'm going there.
I don't know. Would he leave? Would
he
you
has
leave a
before.
QB coach job? But he left Michigan, which is a sinking ship. And
it wasn't that much sink. I mean, it was a floating ship when he was there.
That program's just been weird for years. But we understand why. Like, I don't know. You don't leave, especially this. Like, he's this close already to being a coordinator in the NFL from the Chargers job. This Texans job, I don't imagine he'll be there long, because this guy's got to be an offensive coordinator somewhere in the NFL at least, if not a head coach. But we'll see what happens, and we'll see who he coaches. Who he gets there. Watson's gone.
What if Big Ben shows up?
In Houston, that's not happening. Get out of
here. Who is this Rudy Poo?
That is not happening. But Deshaun, I mean, unless it's a trade, Big Ben for Deshaun Watson, let's do it. Not happening.
I guess you're right. He's probably not going to leave an NFL gig anytime soon, I would say.
No, I don't anticipate seeing Pep Hamilton in the XFL in the foreseeable future, but maybe this will be his stepping stone towards a bigger NFL gig. Still kind of surprising. Last week we're talking about, I felt good about him becoming a member of the Steelers staff, but then they went with Matt Canada. So you have a disappointed Steeler fan talking to you this week, Bryant, who's still waiting for Big Ben to retire, ideally. But that's another kind of conversation. I don't want to focus even on the NFL, where we've already talking too much about the NFL. Tom Brady ruined my week, the busiest week of my year. And I went into it knowing Tom Brady's going to another Super Bowl. I was so upset. Thankfully, we got some kind of, not XFL news, but XFL reading from Dany Garcia in a Forbes.com article. Did you read it?
I did read it. I did enjoy it. Any type of little snippet, I'm always down for it.
Yeah, and this was exactly what it was. A little snippet. A lot of Dany Garcia's background, again, in this, and she is a fascinating figure, being the first female owner of a league, and just her whole rise is a fascinating story. So getting to know her, the person, in this article, definitely a must read for that, to know the XFL owner. But I just took this one quote from it that I really like, Bryant. She said, "All of my passion, perspective, and expertise is taking care of people. It's advancing the human experience. So the XFL is the largest scale opportunity I have to utilize everything I've done to date to impact people in amazing ways, to really get in there, create incredible gameplay, and deliver excellence in football, but to also bring a female interpretation of excellence in football." So I love that this is being spoken out loud so much by the XFL owner, that not only is this the message of for the fans like it had been in 2020, but now also we're getting the message of this is a league that's going to incorporate an entire portion of the sports viewing public that has virtually never been catered to, pandered to for sure by some of the NFL campaigns we've seen in the past. But the way they're going to reach out to the female audience and just expand the viewership, I think, is going to be exciting to see how they do it. And I think it's about damn time a league has people speaking this way. It took a female owner of a league to do it. And also just talking about the taking care of people part, that's also where the being a league for players comes into play. And that's also that's the number one thing I'm paying attention to, is just how this thing is put together like a family, which Dany Garcia kind of always hammers in these interviews. Is everything I've ever done is like every place I put together in terms of business, I make it like a family atmosphere. So that hopefully means players will be taken care of in the XFL, as well, of course, as fans.
Well, and coaches and office personnel, you hope as everyone involved doesn't see just numbers. They see, the greater picture. And that's the idea, I think, that, like you said, Dany Garcia has been pushing for quite some time. And so to see her, want to cater to other fan bases that maybe the NFL and basically many sports leagues have never catered to, I think that's a good sign. Going out there and saying, hey, we know there's more people out there that love football than just what the NFL is. It's Oliver Luck always said that we're a complement. We're not a competitor to the NFL. Well, I think Dany Garcia's even taking that a step further and saying, yeah, we're a complement, but we're also going to, be extremely, I don't want to say different, but we're going to take a different approach with how we do things in the XFL.
Yep, and can't wait to see what that approach is, but definitely read that article, and that'll give you a little bit more hype, if anything, from it. And also, if you haven't read anything in terms of interviews with Dany Garcia, she's done some TV interviews too. Check those out. You want to know the owners of the XFL and getting into their minds, you're going to know what kind of league you're going to get. Of course, The Rock, but knowing Dany Garcia, who I really am finding to be the kind of the mind behind it all, the person who's the visionary, if you will, the person who's thinking about just how big this thing can be and how important it could be and how good it can be. I really think that's the driving force. That's why she's really been the only one doing the interviews for stuff. And it's going to be hopefully a fascinating ride when some maybe what people might think are oddball announcements get made. That, like, how are they going to pull that off? I can't wait to see those kind of surprises that are in store.
When you mention, people say, it's just sports. It's not that anything to get serious over. Blah, blah, blah. Even, women in have this perspective too. A lot of them do. When men get so involved, right? Like when I watch a sporting event, the wife goes, well, why are you so into this? Like, why do you care? Why? It's a part of your being. So important is relative, I guess, in the world, especially in the world we're living in today.
Oh, it is. It is, because I'm watching a Penguins game with no action, Brian, and my wife goes to me, what do you care? I'm like, it's the Pens. I'm watching my team. She goes, but we didn't put any money on it. Now, if she has money on, she's a degenerate. Sure. So everybody has their thing.
Oh, the wife got mad at me because I put $20 against Tom Brady, and her quote was, and I quote, "You never bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs." And she just walked out of the room. Anyway,
see,
but
my wife said that to me, I would not be in this chair right now. I'd be long gone.
I think the point I was trying to make, though, is that sports can be important. It changes people's lives. Football specifically, right? You see what the Cleveland Browns did. I know you don't like that, Alan, but those types of things that you see, it changes people's lives. For 108 years, people in Chicago, didn't get to see the Cubs win the World Series, and it affected them emotionally. They'd have bad weeks, bad years, bad decades.
There were grown-ups who, after they won, would say that was the greatest hug I ever had with my dad, or the greatest moment I've ever shared with my family, watching that team win that World Series. Yeah, that's
exactly
that's how
I think
prolific
Dany Garcia sees it as not just an opportunity to make money, because we all know that's there, but it's also to bring an importance to people's lives in a different way that maybe we've never seen before.
Yeah. So this is big talk for sure. That's what this part of the road is all about. It's about talking and getting her face out there and planting those seeds for what their announcements eventually will be. But I know even Brian and I, is huge super fans of this league and former employees. We're getting antsy. We want to hear something. Actually, the best thing to happen so far has to be actually today, Bryant. You sent a link in our show prep messaging
forum,
message board that basically saying the UnitedPlayers.org, the UFPA organization that's on, they're basically the not union looking out for non-NFLPA players. It's an organization that's just keeping a lookout for, XFL players, CFL play people who play the game and might need financial assistance or career assistance or information. So on their website, they had information saying, we don't know what's up with AAF and XFL W-2s. Tax season's creeping up, Bryant. But I got my W-2 today. So I don't know if from the XFL, just, full disclosure, I don't know if you and I are going to be getting the same kind of deal in terms of the tax forms as the players, but I got mine. So the league is functioning in that regard. They're, those T's are being crossed and I's are being dotted for at least some former employees like me. I got mine in the mail today, Brian. Got to sign that thing and get that to my accountant, AKA my mother-in-law.
That's great. I might have to hit up your mother-in-law to do my taxes as well. But I saw the link.
Only if you want texts and emails at 2 a.m.
Okay.
She's a procrastinator, just like me. Love her.
Here's the thing: is I thoroughly appreciate what the United Players Association, is that what they're calling themselves? I forget.
United Football Players Association.
United Football Players Association is doing. I appreciate what they're doing because all these players need a voice. I think what I didn't enjoy about this specific thing was that I think the law states that you have until January 31st to get your W-2. So it was a little wonky to me just because I was like, hey, you're worrying people and you're sending out a little. First of all, I got mine through ADP. Like, did you you did not sign up for that when you were an employee?
I guess so. I didn't even look at the form. My wife yelled at me this morning from downstairs. XFL's W-2's here. I said, oh, that article was scaring me for a second. But, no.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It scared people. I hope everyone gets it. Again, I don't know what level we're on compared to the players and what they're going to get. Why would anybody need an AAF W-2 for last year, by the way?
That didn't even make it into 2020.
Yeah.
So, there's still maybe they haven't got them for
2019.
This is not a real business anymore. It doesn't exist. But just
hopefully everybody gets theirs. I got mine. Alan got his. I got mine through online. So if you signed up for your online banking thing or something like that, maybe check that out.
Oh, maybe I did get an email or something I missed. Oh,
no email. Just ADP.com when you signed up, when you got hired. Create an account.
Oh, I was on there, but I don't know. I got the paper, and I have like all these updates,
and it's the busiest week of the year
too. And I'm not looking at any of that. It's time to rumble, Bryant. That's all I'm worried about. And speaking of, let's talk about it. We're gonna get to the hot read in just a moment, but we do have another real quick, very brief ad to play, Bryant. But I think people will like this, and people are going to get excited for another podcast you and I are involved in that we've talked about on this show in previous episodes. And coming up, it's that podcast's biggest episode of the year.
We've been talking about it for quite some time now, and now it's official. Here it is. It's the Brainbuster Radio Royal Rumble episode.
Our Burger Vaccines presents the most anticipated pro wrestling podcast episode of the year. Available on all podcast gimmicks and YouTube. It's the 2021 Brainbuster Radio Royal Rumble. 30 men, 30 women, and one chance at immortality. Listen this Saturday morning and all weekend long. The most anticipated, award-winning, biggest show of the year. The 2021 Brainbuster Radio Royal Rumble. Who's gonna do it?
Sorry. I like how you get to hang out with the big dog in the teaser.
No.
graphics there.
I like how the big dog gets to hang out with me.
Don't you? The head of the table is not hanging out with Brian. It's not a real thing. But check that out. All podcast platforms, drops early Saturday morning or on Brainbuster Radio's YouTube channel. And it is not just a wrestling podcast. We're talking about the most hype, hilarious, fun podcast, maybe in any genre that you'll ever hear. So check it out. It's going to be wild. And I'm very tired from helping put it together. And I'm not even close to being done, Bryant. But we're doing this show, and we do have to talk about XFL.com, because right before we started, you kind of changed my order of what I want to talk about, because you were asking me a bunch of questions about XFL.com, and I figured this would be a good opportunity to go into that particular aspect of the XFL. So let's do it in this week's Hot Read. So, XFL.com, Bryant, you said, hey, did they add a bunch of stuff to it? And I said, nope, but maybe a few little things here and there. I've been checking it every week, and for the most part, it's been the same. If things have been taken away, most notably the podcast section, but that's expected. There are a lot of old episodes that maybe aren't relevant that are still in the archive that you could check out if you wanted to. I don't know. But right now, it's pretty bare bones, XFL.com, Bryant. So what is there right now on the website? Well, you've got an FAQ section, right? Don't you got you got ticket section, which we'll get into in a second. And you've got a couple messages from the league as well, like a message to the fans from Thanksgiving. And the XFL has new ownership with details on the sale. And that's about it. And there's nothing more on there. There's a career section, but there's no jobs posted. There's no stats section anymore from the 2020 season either, which I think might be the most notable thing as a football nerd. Does that mean that we're not counting that season? Maybe. But that's another conversation. What do you think of what's there now on XFL.com?
So I brought this up to you because I could have swore I went in there maybe a week ago, and all I saw was the shops section and the news section. I didn't remember seeing any of the other stuff, but either way, it's fine. I think it's notable. The ticket section to me is the one that's garnering the most of my attention, only because, well, I'll take that back. The career section really opened up my eyes because I really wanted to see what they were hiring for, because I was about to put my name back in that hat, but there was something there. Then I went to the ticket section, and so it's a form, right? Email, first name, last name. But then the interesting is the team. What team do you want to go for? And all 8 are there. All 8 of them. Which maybe it's a sign that we're going to get all 8 teams, none moving. And then the type of tickets you're looking for. So I think, there's not much, but that's kind of cool.
So you could put that in, and who knows? I mean, what if a team moves? And you're like, I wanted my Dallas tickets. They're going to send you an email. Actually, the Renegades are moving. If you want to see them play in Minnesota, you can, or I don't know.
Minnesota.
So that's interesting. So maybe that's just if we want to look into something way too much, check that out. So maybe that means the 8 cities are going to keep their teams. I don't know if that means that at all. I would bet no, but just something to take note of, like Brian said. And also, I did see the XFL reaching out to people on Twitter. So if you were a season ticket holder and maybe weren't refunded or had your ticket shifted to the coming season, they're still in the process of a lot of that. So I wouldn't get worried. They're actually, interacting with fans still on social media. It seems like a good way to reach out to them. So I just did some sleuthing and digging into that too, Brian. So I did see that. So that ticket section's very interesting because of that. People still who are still season ticket holders, should they keep them? I'm telling you, if you're in Houston, I would for sure. If you're in DC, I probably would. And then just seeing all 8 teams still there on that page, you'd think that would get updated, because a lot of the rest of the site did. Like we said, no stats. They have the letter to the fans, the return in 2020, and the new ownership news articles. And then the career section, which unfortunately, Bryant, is blank right now. But I'm always applying. Every week, this show, we're applying. We want our old jobs back. The original official XFL podcast.
So you just basically threw out any leverage we had.
Did I just now?
Yes, basically is what you did.
Or we're taking this thing to the CFL. They want us to.
I'm fully committed to doing the best we possibly can. I've done this whole little gimmick back here. I don't know if you can even read what this is. That's a Luis Perez football card framed up right there.
Oh, man. You and maybe like a dozen other people definitely have Luis Perez shrines in their game room or office.
Me, Luis Perez, and 10 other people, I'm sure, do have a Luis
Guardians
Perez shrine.
fans, for sure.
Wait, what kind of fans?
Guardians!
Thank you. It's a website. What are we going to do? It has some cool little, the shop's kind of cool.
Nothing updated, really.
Nothing
but for
really
all intents and purposes, nothing too in terms of the league. Groundbreaking to go check out there unless you're buying stuff in the shop.
If you're on
it
YouTube,
still has a bunch of stuff there.
You're on YouTube. Website league news are pretty much climbing or not at the same level. All of a sudden, the website pops. You're like, that's kind of weird. Definitely showing off the shop as much as they can, I'm sure.
And that's the driving factor right now. That'll change. So what do we watch for? Not just announcements, but hopefully content. Hopefully they start producing some in-house stuff that will air there. If I'm going to see a Dany Garcia interview in the tail end of 2021, Brian, I want to see it on XFL.com and post it on social media. The Rock, the same. Let's get the people driving to the website. And what I want on this website moving forward is maybe a little bit friendlier of an interface when it comes to searching who's on what team.
Who's on first?
News from the league, standings pages. Like, it was kind of, I'm going to say, a little clunky compared to some other websites. Not very intuitive, and you can't rely on partnerships with ESPN or Fox or whomever so that people can go get information on the league over there, which is good too. But this website needs to pick it up. Hopefully, come 2022.
They had a partnership with somebody doing stats in 2020. I thought
live during games, yeah, and then they would update them through this, that Australian company. Damn it, I forget the name.
Yeah,
and
actually, I think we met. Didn't we meet him?
The content was great. I'm just saying maybe the interface or the display, the UI.
The UI, as they say in my world, yes, too.
As the nerds say.
Some sort options. I think you could even look at like beyond the top 5 in certain categories, things like that. But I just remember the game stats were kind of cool. You could see all the different, like within the game, you can see all the different stats, which is nice.
Pro tip, though, for people who are on this road going to 2022,
road?
And you're looking
road again.
You don't have to pull up the truck.
Oh, okay.
You wanted to pull. He worked hard on the truck.
Yes, I did. Hours. It's been a busy week.
If you want to see, maybe anticipate, or get a glimpse of when something might be announced, or get a non-notification, get notified through a non-notification that things are happening with the league, check that career section out. Because when jobs get posted, that means moves are being made, people are being hired to
we
get
don't even
stuff
know where
done.
headquarters is.
Don't.
I'm checking out the XFL app. I haven't
tough.
been on this in a long time. Have you been on the XFL app in a long time?
No, I haven't. Actually,
Oh, look.
I could go on it now.
Lucas still front and center, though. We're on the app.
The Texans quarterback coach himself and our show on the app.
Actually, we're the first 2 things. You go to the app right now. We're the first 2.
We are.
Yes,
All right. So download the XFL app right now, and you can check out us. I don't know if the shows will play through it. But like I said, check out that career section if you want to sleuth and really just get nerdy with this thing, and you can't wait. That's maybe refresh that every day. But like you, we're still sitting here waiting. And
look at that. Stats. The app's popping.
the app, maybe they forgot about the app. I don't know. It sounds like how the
There's a lot of
website
good
is
stuff.
completely different.
Oh, do you remember the Football Advisory Network? Fan?
Yes, Fan. I still have
still
that
rolling.
saved as a bookmark. Check out Fan. But yeah,
Wow, kind of
XFL.com, kind of bare bones right now. Let us know what you want to see on it that you weren't getting in 2020. Fantasy, I know, is going to be a big thing for a lot of people, Bryant. See what kind of partnerships they develop when it comes to the web. So it's 2021. It's kind of important to have a good app and web presence, don't you think?
Well, I think web presence specifically even more so now because I think people are spending so much more time at home. You know, they have access to a computer, whereas before people were on their phones. So maybe the app was the more important piece of it all.
Look at you. You've got computers next to computers. I've got one right here. I would lift it, but I don't want to break it. I got laptop, computer. I mean, these are my new friends. These are all my new friends.
Yeah, I put Jake on this monitor. I put Vince on that monitor every once in a while. They're just pictures to feel like we're around each other. Sometimes I'll put Shane McMahon on this picture, on this one right here.
So you put the picture of me with Shane McMahon.
Yeah, exactly that one. So we could all just be like, group picture. Now, the website is important. I hope they do get some updates. We make a good call. Check out that career section because once that gets posted, then we'll start seeing some movement.
Yes, but until then, it's kind of bare bones. So we understand. We feel you. It's not really a fun place to hang out just yet, but I'm sure it will be. And I'm sure, eventually Bryant will be not one of the only places people could go talk XFL. Hopefully Fan opens back up or something equivalent and we get some interaction going. But right now, very, very quiet as we head into this Super Bowl week. And I'm going to be just fingers crossed and really wishing and hoping that some kind of morsel, a nugget, is given to us. A bone is thrown during the biggest football week of the year coming up next week's show.
We'll see how that works out going into the Super Bowl, Alan. I hope we actually do see some news. I am getting a little antsy, like I said. I don't want to say tired, because I'm not tired. It's not what I'm saying. I just want some news. I get sad. I've rewatched games a couple times. I get sad rewatching those every once in a while, too.
I know. I rewatched Tampa and LA 2 weeks ago, and then I actually stumbled on Reddit. Someone was talking like, what's the best game you think of? LA and Tampa. Come on, it's not even close.
We got to do a watch along or something. It's just, what's the best an XFL game looked all season long? That.
Yeah.
That. All that.
I wasn't
We're
there,
still doing
though.
that.
I am jealous.
I was like this in the press box. Actually, I was sitting next to a Wildcats employee, and when they won the game, I just turned and was like, just a little fist bump.
Fist bump.
No cheering.
Celebrating and no cheering in the press box. You know where I will be though is right here this weekend for the Brainbuster Radio Royal Rumble episode, Bryant.
Oh man, I've just been my calves too. You have good calves.
Last year, I won the thing, and then I went into kickoff a couple weeks later. The XFL met Shane McMahon, was riding high. And
St.
COVID
Louis,
happened.
Toasted Ravs.
And then COVID happens, and now I'm
New
here,
York.
But I'm defending my crown. I'm still doing this show with you, so it all can't be that bad. And I'm feeling energized as I rumble into this weekend. Hopefully, everybody else is as well. And if you have a Tom Brady voodoo doll, please. We need it more than ever.
Yes, definitely check out our friends over at brainbusterradio.com. It's a lot of fun, so go check that out. We're not hyping it for no reason. I tell you, it's a lot of fun. But
it's legit.
For our own sake, catch us here every single Friday right here on your favorite podcast app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to give us
Pocket Cast. That's my favorite app to use.
Pocket Cast.
Very efficient.
Ooh, you might have to actually check that one out. If you got a question, comment, or a topic you want us to cover, well, then text us or call us at the XFL Fan Line, 724-565-4XFL. Standard text messaging rates do apply. And also follow us on social media.
It's just fun to do.
It's okay. And follow us on social media at XFL Show. Or if you want to say hi, hello, subscribe and watch us on YouTube at youtube.com/This Is The XFL Show, the official YouTube page of the XFL. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Pretty Easy Podcasts. Go to prettyeasypodcast.com and get started today because they make podcasting pretty easy.
Give Brian a hand. He put that all together. I think he's not even going to try to do it off the top of his head anymore. He had it all set in front of him. Got you all that information at the end of the show.
And then you were stumbling and going on top of me. This is a lot of stress. I'm trying to get a job here, Alan. You may not make it easy on me.
Make it pretty hard on Brian. Trying to get the XFL gig back. Well, if it happens, it happens. Either way, we're watching and talking XFL with all of you every single week. So
yes, we are.
We appreciate you so much.
We do appreciate you guys
and
a lot.
Hey, I won't be too busy with Rumblin next week, so maybe I'll twitch it. I'll be twitching some Tecmo XFL, Brian.
How about you Tecmo some XFL during the Super Bowl? I'm sorry, bleep that, during the big game, so that you can, since you don't want to watch Tom Brady win again.
So, that's tough, because during the Super Bowl, I will be back in Miami with my mother-in-law, who's like, for some reason, really excited to watch the Super Bowl with me. She said, "Oh, I get to watch the Super Bowl with you," and I'm like, "I don't really care. It's gonna be."
Does she think you like football? Or does she realize you like the Steelers and XFL?
Yeah, I don't. She doesn't.
I think she thinks you like football. You just got to put $20 on it. Just put some money on it, and then you'll love it.
Yeah, well, then we'll be in it. So maybe, but I think maybe I'll have the laptop on deck while I'm sitting in their game room watching the big game. Maybe I'll Tecmo. It's a good idea. We'll put it together. Stay tuned for some sort of
halftime
announcement.
heat.
We'll Tecmo XFL. Halftime Tecmo. We'll do it.
None of us are going to make it through the weekend.
Yeah, if I make it to that next weekend, because it's like I said, we're rumbling this weekend. But all right, everybody. Huh?
Love the shirt.
Yes, the RoboCop shirt.
Yeah,
appreciate the shout out, Murphy. This is for you. We'll see you next week, everybody. For Bryant, I'm Alan. This is the XFL show. Remember, they're listening.